The following is a fictitious episode in the lives of two make-believe hobos. The characters and events you hear are not real. Don't freak out.
Hello, laddies. Welcome to Scotland. I've got my haggis here with my buttons on my nice kilt. It is on my shoulders. I couldn't fit it around my waist. It's such a waste of fabric. It is so havoc that I cannot fit in this tiny clothing. Fucking Scots. I thought they were bigger.
Me too. This is really not what I was expecting either. And hey,
every single picture of every Scotsman I've ever seen is either portly and jolly or big and robust and like strong looking.
Yeah, certainly stressing the tensile strength of whatever fabric they're wearing. And I have to say, I've seen a lot more slim looking Scots
wieners
since we've been here. Wieners a little bit. And Cedric, thank you very much for coming by and opening the show for us. We appreciate that, man.
Oh, no problem there.
Yeah.
I'm just happy to finally get my rep career out there.
Yeah, and you're good at it too. I gotta say, you might actually have a career in the States, and your sheep don't really seem to be responding to you that much. And I can't imagine your dad's gonna be too happy once you tell him about the Draco situation.
I think they're just a little, put off because they hear me all the time. It's like telling your friends to listen to your show all the time, and they never do it.
Sure. I know exactly what you mean, bud.
Yeah, man. None of our friends actually listen to this. Every single week, I ask Freak to listen to the podcast. Episodes where he's actually on it. He refuses.
Scummy's the same way. And he's got all this tech, like he could easily... Scummy actually likes
I have no idea who you two are talking about.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Cedric. Yeah, these are our friends, but they don't listen either. They don't listen to our show. But we know what you mean.
Oh, yeah. That's how I feel about it.
Sure.
But, one day, I think I will go to the States, and I will really show them, really show them just how much of a mix master I am.
It's a good idea. It's a good goal. If you really want to do it, and if you're serious, come to Chicago. You can stay with our buddy Stonie over here, who we brought because he's never been to Scotland, but this is like where his family's from.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks for bringing me here. I've never seen it, and I love the Isles. But you're welcome in my home any time. Cedric!
Hey, how's it going, Stonie?
Good.
I've heard all the tales about you from my dad.
Your dad?
My dad.
He knows of me.
He does. He remembers you clearly. You used to go to school together.
Ah, you're right. He went to St. Mary's up on the hill.
Aye, he did. He's not really doing the school thing anymore, though.
Oh, sure. Is he that rat bastard? Your name's McDouglas, isn't it? Cedric McDouglas, yeah?
Aye.
Your father, would he be Patrick McDouglas?
Aye.
I remember that son of a bitch. He took my best kilt. My ma sewed that kilt out of gold thread, and she made it for me. Took her 2 years, and it took your dad less than a week to take it off my waist.
Sorry, Dad's hands are so nimble. They're so fast.
He's a thrifty one, he was.
He really sneaks up on you.
That's alright, you seem like a good sort. Here, let's have a drink of this here. To you, McDouglas!
And to you, Stonie. And to, you stinky homeless people. Thanks.
Thanks a lot, guys. What a lovely toast that was. Anyway, so here...
Alright, well, I have to actually take care of the sheep, I actually have a job. I can't really give up my day job. It actually pays my bills. My girlfriend's not really in the whole rap career, but, maybe SoundCloud might work for me one day.
Think about it, and like I said, you ever want to come to Chicago, you stay with me. Look up Stonie Island Feeder. But go and take care of your sheep before Draco comes back and eats any more of them. You got to get these things hiding now.
Hey, alright, the deal's been made. I give you sheep, you give me a platform.
That's right.
Done deal.
Shake on it. Great.
All right, great. Cedric, why don't you go ahead and take your sheep, and then Stonie, Stonie, why don't you back away a little bit from the mics because we are going to be recording. Just keep playing around in the hills. See if you.
Why did you bring Stonie?
I don't know. Actually, I really don't know.
Why? Why do you do this?
I know, and at the time,
This is a problem. You just didn't fight people.
it seemed like the right thing to do. He hadn't been back here since he grew up in Scotland, and I thought, we're flying.
Maybe there's a reason why he's not in Scotland anymore.
I suppose you're probably
Maybe
right.
it might be because of the BDSM shit. When you try to watch a movie
Maybe.
and trying to force feed you gruel.
Yeah, it could be.
When
any
is
of that.
gruel a Scottish thing? What the fuck is wrong with you?
I know. All right. Yeah, you're right. Stonie, listen. Just step back and just stay. If we call on you, you can talk, but otherwise, try and keep it. You know.
Hey, how about you go check on that Patrick Flannery dude?
Yeah, go hang out with go hang out with him.
Go hang out with Cedric. You know, I'm sure that they'd love to catch up with you, man. I mean, you've been gone for so long.
Why don't you go see his dad? Maybe he's still got that kilt you were looking for.
Right, okay, you got a good idea. You got good heads on your shoulders. I'm gonna go hang out with him, and I'll be back whenever you call for me. I'll be right here.
Great. Like
Super.
we said, we will call you if we need you.
Yeah, we'll call you.
Find some whiskey if you can. There's got to be some good stuff around here.
And really dig for it. Like, spend the next 50 minutes, like, really, really looking.
Dig around for it, sure.
Exactly 55 minutes and 29 seconds.
All right, set my watch then. See you later.
Okay. Excellent. And anyway, hi there. Thank
Hey,
you
guys.
for joining us again. We appreciate it. We are the Boxcar Buddies. I'm Don.
I'm Greg.
And we are here, not in a boxcar, not in Chicago, not in the United States at the moment. We are here in the Highlands of Scotland.
The Emerald Isle.
Believe it or not, we decided.
Wait, or is the Emerald Isle Ireland? Because, Isle.
I know there are islands.
Ireland.
We passed like 6 islands on the flight over here, and I can't tell if those were because I didn't bring a map, and I've never seen that stuff.
You really think I'm a globalist? You think I know this shit?
Does anybody care? These are islands off of the coast of the UK, whether they're Scotland, whether it's Ireland, whether it's English
It's all
islands.
UK bullshit.
It
Who
is.
cares?
Yeah, so and then certainly not us. All right, we don't live over here.
cares? Ooty-dee-dee-dee. That's
right.
what all these guys sound like.
They do. It's like they've got something in like the back of their throat or something.
They all sound like Shrek.
Yeah, they do. And it's foresty, and it is green around here, but they do have some lovely whiskey. Draco is circling overhead because he's now just kind of burning off all the sheep that he consumed. It was about 7/8 of Cedric's flock that Draco ate. Upon arrival, immediately, like 20 sheep just gulped down.
Yeah, we've been kind of. I mean, we've been here for a little while. We've spent the last week here in Scotland, and we've just kind of gone from like one sheep farm to the next. I mean, it's basically gasoline for the dragon.
Oh yeah. We're fueling him up, and also because there's so many sheep. After 2 or 3 days, we did broach the subject of going back to the States, and Draco was hesitant to agree to leaving. He seems to really kind of enjoy the air.
Really, really likes it here.
Loves the plethora of sheep that are only guarded by one person per flock. He's into it. So we're kind of in the middle of trying to figure out a way to get back to the States. But in the meantime, we do have our, we got some different equipment. We went over to Glasgow at some point, and we were able to find some, ticky-tack, not as...
Knick-knack, paddywhacks. We gave a dog a bone.
Yeah, and he brought us a mixer and a laptop and some mics. And therefore...
Yeah, thankfully, because my dumbass left it there.
Well-
but we had plenty of time to pick up Stonie.
Looking back, it was unnecessary. Draco was obviously pissed at the detour, but he's done a lot of favors for me. I thought this might buy us some good karma with him. Anytime we're going to need a meal at some point. So I
no
thought,
amount of karma will ever make me forgive him.
I disagree. I think it's good. I think it's good to have it. And besides, I mean, you got to let it go, man. You really have to let that thing go with Stonie, I mean, he's giving out food. He's a perfectly good resource to have down on the south side.
I don't know. When you're giving out food, you shouldn't exactly have, rules when it comes to getting this food.
He likes the power thing.
There's doing favors, and then there's I have to read the fucking instruction manual to see if I can actually get a hot bowl of something to eat.
I know. Yeah. Oh, and if I'm wearing the right attire.
And this dude is
for the Wednesday
elaborate.
night.
This guy is fucking elaborate.
Yes.
He goes hard.
I agree. It's a power thing. He's on a power trip in his little, dungeon area down, on the south side.
hut made of garbage.
Yeah, with all kinds of shit accumulated from different people across the city. But as I said, he does give out food, on nights of the week. And if you can abide by those absurd rules that he sets, he is a resource to have. And that was my thinking when I insisted that Draco take the detour to pick him up on our way from Chicago to Scotland last week after we recorded. But, here we are. Draco's gone. We're full of mutton. We've had plenty of sheep. And we decided...
Lots. I finally figured out what haggis is.
Yes,
Not
and...
fun to eat.
No, not at all. And this is coming from two
This
guys
is coming from us.
who are happy to eat anything
I
at
ate
all.
a pixie.
Yes.
I've eaten
Some
things.
an aluminum can without thinking twice. I've seen you down that thing.
No. But with haggis, no,
no, thank you.
That's where I draw the line. It's too much.
I just don't.
It's like you try and make it sausage, but you're using the worst parts of the organs to stuff.
I know. It sounds like the sound Scottish people would make when they're dry heaving. The
Haggis. Haggis.
Yeah. I just that's what I think of. It's about as appetizing as it is when they put it in front of you too. You can serve it warm or cold. It's disgusting either way. But they've got a lot of it here. It's definitely a local thing that they're doing. But anyway, here we are. We've enjoyed taking in some of the Scottish areas and the beautiful scenery. A lot of green and then a lot of gray in the sky. It's very, very dreary.
I do enjoy the overcast just a little bit.
Yeah?
A little lack of sun. It ain't bad. And I mean, I'm already Celtic, so I kind of blend in here.
Yeah,
so.
you do. You really do. And you're right about that. The gray skies make the greens pop, and that's nice. So it makes it kind of beautiful. But
yeah,
so
it makes action. I finally understand it now. It's like I used to rag on the UK because it's like, oh, it's always gray and dingy looking, but when you look at the landscapes and how bright and green they are, it ain't bad.
It's not bad. No, it's nice to look at because of that.
Except unless you're in a city, because if you're in a city, boy howdy, it
I know.
sucks.
Not friendly people. Loners. A lot of loners.
A lot of loners.
UK. They don't want to talk to people.
And these towns are old as shit.
Oh my gosh!
I thought from the towns that we've been, the cities that we've come from, we come across some old shit. This is some old shit.
Absolutely. There are buildings and there are castles here. We flew over castles on the way to this hilltop. Those castles were no doubt older than the entire country of America. There is no question about that.
Yep.
There's history in these areas that we can't even imagine, bro. It's
Can't
crazy.
even.
It's crazy. And, speaking of that sort of touches on the content that I viewed this week, Greg. This is what Greg and I like to do, and we decided, even though we're here, we've got the equipment, and now we're going to talk about the content like we do week to week. And what I ended up watching was, while we were in Glasgow, Stonie made friends with a little barkeep. Her name was Wendy, and she was, lovely.
A nice little tart.
Yeah. As Stonie said, yeah, exactly. And so she was very nice. She accommodated us, and after the bar closed down, she gave us a place to sleep that night. And she had a nice little den of like a nest of all these blankets in the basement. It was in this small storage cupboard, which was supposed to be for alcohol, but they didn't have an excess of alcohol. It's kind of one of those bars that's always just on the edge of their, losing all their supplies. Mm-hmm. So she's using the storage closet for this little nest, and she's got a TV in there, small enough, flat screen, 24 inches or something like that. And she has a little Roku plugged into it. I'm not sure how she got it, but she's got Netflix on there. And
Amazon, UK.
Yeah, exactly. She could get it. Yeah, she got all that access to all that good stuff, and a job, so she can order things and buy them and purchase them at will. And so anyway, she, her and Stonie were kind of getting friendly and, doing some stuff, and they decided to put on some Netflix for me like a child while they went off into another room and sort of got to know each other better, and I was, left to my own devices to watch stuff. And so there I am scrolling through Netflix, here in Scotland, looking, feeling the parts and all of that, and I came across a recently released movie on Netflix. It's a Netflix original, and it's called Outlaw King. And when I read the synopsis of it, it turns out that this movie, Outlaw King, is about a Scottish revolution, an overthrowing of English occupation.
How topical for our locale.
I know, that's exactly what I was thinking. I'm like, why shouldn't I watch this? I'm here, it's perfect. So that's what I did. I put it on, and it's it was interesting. Right off the bat, what I was struck by with this movie is that, like, in the first 15 or 20 minutes, you can tell the pacing of it is varied. And what I mean by that is, like, the first 5 minutes are all one shot. It's one of those no cuts. It's like a continuous, scene with all the movement and tracking of characters, and everybody's just doing it all, and the camera doesn't move anywhere. It's following. And so that was interesting. It made it very exciting. It made the pacing go faster. And then all of a sudden, after the first, maybe it was like between 5 and 10 minutes of those no cuts, then after the first cut, there were a bunch, like a bunch of tiny little quick scenes thrown in there, like one after the other. And then, so I guess what it felt like to me was that maybe this was originally intended to be a miniseries, and it got cut down into a movie. It felt like maybe they had a lot more footage to work with, and then they ended up cutting things down, and that's what affected the pacing. It's possible. I don't know if that's the truth or not, but if it isn't, one of the things that stood out was like the pacing of this movie could have been a little bit better, but it is also based off of a true story. How much
I do enjoy true stories.
Always nice historical value to it. I did look it up, and these characters were real. The main character you're following is King Robert the Bruce. And which is,
that's a stupip name.
The Bruce. Like, what's the Bruce? It's just another person.
It's just it's
right.
Bruce Almighty.
Yeah, I thought at the beginning of the movie, I thought they were introducing him as Robert Bruce. Like, I thought that was just his name. And then they start talking.
Robert T. Bruce.
Yeah, and it's like, that makes sense. Sure, like Robert Bruce. Like, okay, it's just two names, a first and the surname. But as it goes on, you start hearing other people talk about him, and it's like Robert the Bruce, and it's just
like Winnie the Pooh.
Right.
Like, what a nonsensical name.
Absolutely.
It's like, what is a Bruce? What's a Winnie?
Yeah, the Pooh. Right. Even so, like, what else are you?
The one and only.
Besides the shit. Like, what else are you as a bear then? If your name is the Pooh, what else are you besides a big turd? Like,
Winnie. I'm Winnie.
Oh, bother.
Yeah.
Oh, bother. I wish this was a better movie. I'm all stuffed up again. I've got no movement through my intestinal tract.
Christopher, stop stuffing me.
Oh, you think you've got it bad? I can't have a movement.
Well, if you think that's bad there, fella.
Yeah. So that begs
I'll
the
really
question.
put a spring in your step there, Pooh boy.
I can't
And
even.
by that, I mean my springy dick.
It's getting in your step right now.
Come here, Pooh boy.
You'll feel my stripes on your back.
No, Tigger, not again.
Oh, bother.
I don't know why I'm doing this, because Winnie the Pooh was an essential part of my childhood.
Well, of course. And that's...
All right, let's talk about Johnny the Brood.
Oh, yeah, Robert the Bruce, right? Okay. So what happens is, I guess at this point in history, which if I recall from looking it up, it was like the 1400s, but England had actually occupied Scotland, a lot like, they did, like we're trying to do with America and at other points. So they absorbed, like, Scotland, and they were taking taxes from them and whatever, and after a war and a struggle to get it back, there was a treaty where all the lords of Scotland agreed to swear fealty to the King of England, pay them taxes, but then the king would give them their lands back, and they could still live in Scotland and act like it was their own, but all the while paying taxes to the king in England who owned everything. And eventually, that was no good for the lords. They wanted their holdback, they wanted their land. But what they were lacking was a king to unite all the holds and the islands. Scotland, it's a big place, and there's islands and whatnot. So everybody was kind of like tribal. They were separate, and they needed a king to kind of unite them all under one banner. And that's what Robert the Bruce set out to do. Robert the Bruce is played by Chris Pine, and his accent, I noticed his Scottish accent, for the majority of the movie, it's not bad. It holds it. He's at least consistent with it, and I thought he did like a pretty decent job with it. But at the end, in the climactic battle scene, he's the king, and he's riding up his troops, like riling them for the battle, and he's giving this speech, and that's the moment when his accent is kind of like dropping out a little bit. And I don't mean like it's becoming like super Scottish like a Groundskeeper Willie, but it's more like it falls away. It's more like whiny Chris Pine American voice it's slipping in between Scottish King guy. So that was one thing about it that, was just okay. Also, there is there's some nudity in the movie. It's there's a sex scene between.
Is it tasteful?
Is
it Game of Thronesy?
Some of it is tasteful. There's this toward the beginning of the movie, Chris Pine, as part of the arrangement with the English king, Chris Pine's dad is the representative of all of Scotland. He marries Chris Pine to a daughter of an English lord.
Right.
So you see the wedding, the two of them meet, and
then you watch the ball slap against her thighs.
No, it's not that bad. A subplot of the movie is that you watch these two get more so they don't know each other at all, and they're not like the whole of Scotland's royalty. They have a wedding, they have a big ceremony, and the priest blesses the two of them and escorts them to their royal bedchamber to commence sealing like the wedding. But basically, once the door is closed, Chris Pine is kind of like, well, nice to meet you, and you put up with a lot today, so good night, and walks out of the room. And so that's where their relationship starts from. It's not like quick sparks immediately. They don't fall into the sack with each other. They sort of build it up, and the movie follows that along. But about halfway through, you do get to a sex scene between the two of them. Like there's a day, and they have some connections going on, and at the end, it's just like she's like, "I choose you," like you're my husband, and he's just like, "Oh damn, like we're gonna get this on now." And then they do, and like they show the lady, his wife, who is played by, if I can just make use of your hand here briefly, bud.
Oh my god.
It's played by she is played by Florence Pugh. P-U-G-H.
Ew, Pugh.
Or Pug, maybe. Florence
Same
Pug.
thing.
Yeah, but anyway, she does a great job, and she is, she's forceful. She definitely has presence on screen. Candlelight, you get Chris Pine like ass in there. They're fully like it's not hardcore. It is tastefully done, but you do see a lot of nudity between the two of them. Okay, so that's tasteful. Then fast forward to like the last half an hour of the movie. Just before this final battle, and as things continue to progress, Chris Pine is with all of his close circle of dudes, and they're planning their next move.
Right.
And they're clearly like washing in a lake or kind of like changing their armor or doing stuff. And Chris Pine just stands up out of nowhere in the middle of this lake, and you get full frontal of Chris Pine standing up out of a lake. But it was it was for no reason at all.
It's for one very clear reason. I want to see Chris's Pine.
And you do. And my goodness, do you. But what's funny is that it's so quick, they cut away from it like it was a mistake. It looks like it's a fucking, it looks like some B-roll footage captured by TMZ, and they cut away real quick. It just felt like strange. I was like, wait a minute, did I just see that? And you rewind, and it's like, yep, there it is. So
Here it is.
Yeah, so that was
found it.
Right, there it is. That little guy, there he is.
There's the Pine.
It's cold out there, huh, Chris? But anyway, so there's that kind of stuff. But all in all, like, just to kind of, I guess, wrap it up, is that like I selected this thing with no expectations. I had heard nothing about it going into it. And when I looked at the trailer and when I read the synopsis, I thought at the very least I would have no reaction to it. Like, it would be completely neutral. But at worst, I thought maybe the movie would suck. You know what I mean? Like, I thought it'd be just like terrible stuff. And I gotta tell you, like, with going in there with that mentality, I ended up enjoying this movie. And the reason I did was because of the battle scenes. There are 3 or 4 really, really good, gruesome, well-executed battle scenes in this movie. And one of them
I do enjoy a good battle.
And it's all like medieval style. There's one that sticks in my head because of the imagery and the lighting. The Scottish are about to fight a faction of the English the next morning. Chris Pine has challenged one guy to a duel, and they've agreed to it. But now all the Scots are camping out in this forest, and there's this big aerial shot sweeping over the tops of the trees, and you can see campfires just glowing underneath the treetops. So it's like this weird, like, sea of green with little pinpricks of glowing orange light. And it was striking how beautiful it was. Like, so there's a lot of shots like that. And at the end, the final battle is like just this wonderful climax for the movie, because there's tons of battles and there's tons of fighting, and it ends up with Chris Pine's band of Scottish rebels, of which there are not many, there's a couple hundred, versus thousands of English soldiers. But their whole gimmick is that they use Scottish terrain to their advantage. They find a hilltop, they know the weather's gonna, it rains, and they know the weather's gonna be on their side. They cut some divots that are hard for the English to see from their vantage point.
Right.
And so the payoff that you get when the English charge them, and them and their horses are falling into these pits with like spiked things cut in them, and you got guys running. There's so many bodies that guys are like falling over dead bodies while they're still swinging their swords.
tripped over you, Stevenson!
Yeah, right. Get out, Douglas! Get out of there! So, like, I mean, it's very sweet for those. And, I was reading reviews of these, and somebody said, like, someone compared it, to, like, how could you not get excited for a potential Rockstar medieval game watching a movie like this, of which there is no commitment by Rockstar to a medieval game. But if there were, you imagine it might look something like this movie, Outlaw King. And it's cool to watch because of that. It's, as I said, it's gruesome. If you like some medieval battles, there's a good couple of them in here. Chris Pine and the supporting cast do a pretty good job. I mean, he's definitely the most recognizable one. There was also Stephen Delane, who plays the King of England. He's probably most recognizable as Stannis Baratheon in Game of Thrones.
Oh, all right.
There was another one in here who plays, also from Game of Thrones, James Cosmo.
This movie sounds like it has all the dead characters from Game of Thrones.
It's littered with them. There's no doubt. The James Cosmo, he plays Robert's dad. He plays, Chris Pine's dad. He is brother.
What's his name? Johnny the Bruce?
It's just Robert Bruce Sr. it's the same name.
Original naming schemes that they got going on in that family. I like it.
Yeah.
Just copy and paste. The next one in the line.
Who needs individuality?
There's no such thing as the individual. It's just one.
It's the clan.
Yeah, and then the last that I recognized was Aaron Taylor Johnson, known from Kick-Ass and Quicksilver in Avengers Ultron.
He was in the shitty American Godzilla from like 2014.
Yes, and he also played John Lennon, I think, in that Beatles kind of a thing. But anyway, he plays
Good to see Senor Puffy Lips is getting another role.
I have to say, I actually really liked him in this movie. Like, I knew I had seen him before, but I didn't know who he was. And he plays this, like, they call him the Black Douglas, and he's just this crazy
Pasty white man.
Yes, he's pasty and
It's like
white.
calling a big dude tiny.
Yeah, kind of, except they don't call him black because of his skin color. They call him black because he's ruthless on the battle. He's ruthless on the battlefield.
Okay.
He has no qualms about ripping people apart, and he's just so
Same.
He's so right, exactly. He's so fierceful that he earns the nickname the Black Douglas. And I thought Aaron Taylor Johnson did a pretty good job in the movie. But overall, Netflix original Outlaw King with Chris Pine right there on the cover. It's about, it's a little over 2 hours, just slightly. But if you like some medieval fighting and some battling and, loosely based off of historical stuff, check it out. It's worth it.
Neat.
Yeah. So,
wow.
And then I skedaddled out of there because Stonie and that lady were just still going at it. So
They were really grinding their
bones
bagpipes.
to wheat. Yeah, exactly.
Always slapping the bagpipe against those thighs.
Making some flour down there. It's the flour power hour.
I mean, he is quite yeasty.
He is.
So.
I know, and I doubt he told her that. I doubt he warned her.
I think because I was there. I think I did hear him scream, "And now the yeast rises."
I've told him that's not a proper warning for these females. I've told him that doesn't count as giving them a fair heads
I guess
up.
he thought because he's back home that he can get away with this kind of stuff. I mean, I don't know how laws are done here. I don't know shit.
You're right, I don't either. I don't know that we're not going to get hauled off to jail for what we just let Draco do to a flock of sheep.
No, because
owned by
it's like
somebody.
it's just a Thursday to them.
Yeah, right. Just a dragon.
Well,
scarfing some sheep.
yeah. Well, speaking of dragging this conversation into what I've been doing.
Drag it in.
So I left like right before you started watching that movie. I was getting a little bored, and I wanted to explore the world of Scotland to see what I'd been really missing. So I decided to walk out of the town just a little bit, and I noticed that there's this great big forest, like so close walking distance from the town. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna fuck around and go into the woods. Let's see if I can find some like magic creatures. Maybe I can have some of my, Celtic ancestry pop up. Like, oh, Gregory, what are you doing in Scotland?
Right, like-
You need to go back to the Emeralds.
Yeah.
The Emerald Isle.
Like a family spirit or
The
something.
banshee's waiting for you. Like, I do enjoy a good banshee.
Who doesn't?
So I'm just tumbling around in the woods, fucking around, just like I kill like a wolf or two. No big deal.
Nice.
But all of a sudden, I come across this nice little wooden cabin. And I see that there are lights going on. I'm like, this is a hell of a place to have like your little like wood house,
Yeah, right.
whatever. So I come banging on the door, and I hear this really crotchety voice like, "Who is it?"
One of those foresty Scots.
I was like, hi there. Why do you have a house in the middle of nowhere? It's none of your fucking business it is. I'm like, yeah, that's true. But, how about I just come on in?
Oh, okay.
I kind of blasted a hole in his door.
Sure. I bet he's never
usually
seen
did.
I bet he's never seen a laser gun out of a hand before.
So, you know what? He actually took it surprisingly well.
Really?
I was like, hey, you're strong. That's cool, I guess.
Oh, okay, nice. No fight went right out of him after that.
Nah, he had no energy. He's just this decrepit old man,
Gotcha.
just lying down in this like. It's not a lazy boy. It's one of those old man chairs that has no reclining whatsoever. It's like it's sturdy.
Oh yeah. Just an armchair.
It's just an armchair
that doesn't move.
It
at all,
does
yeah.
not move. It is stationary, and it's him. And he had his Irish wolfhound with him.
Oh, of course.
And I was like, yo, man, like, this seems cool and all. I know I'm kind of, like, breaking and entering right now, but, like, I'm kind of hungry and kind of bored. Maybe you can, like, solve my problems. And he was kind of okay with it. He's like, yeah, sure, listen, it's fine.
Nice. So it sounds like he might have been happy for the company, right? He lives out in the woods.
Yeah, he's like, I don't get much traffic out here.
Yeah.
Purposely did that. I didn't want anyone out here.
Right.
I was like, what's your name there, silly old man that lives in the woods? And he's like, Travis McTavish.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, that's a hell of a stupid name.
Well, I mean, he lives in
I
the
was
woods.
born with it.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. I'm like, what? And I noticed too. I was like, you don't sound Scottish. He's like, I'm not. I'm English.
Oh, he's a wolf in sheep's clothing. He's
Yeah.
living in Scottish woodlands.
I was like, what are you doing here? He's like, I hate England. I wanted to go somewhere that they really hate. Turns out it's here.
Yeah, that's the truth.
That's very much the truth. Mm-hmm. So we're just shooting the shit. We eat some sausages that he had made, homemade too. And I was like, these are actually pretty dope. I'm amazed that you could do it. And he showed me his, pig greased hands. He's like, I did them myself.
Wow.
I was like, you're a really cool dude there, Travis.
Just sat there without washing his hands after making the sausage, though.
Yeah, so we just shat the shit. We talked about America, and we talked about the land of Scotland. Mm-hmm. And he was like, I'm kind of bored with this conversation.
Well, I'll just
I
add it.
kind of want to watch some TV. So he puts up the little rabbit ears,
Ah.
starts tuning the TV, and then he turns the Roku on.
Just faked you out. I bet he had a laugh at that.
He was like, haha, got you, stupid yank.
Right.
I was like, fuck you, you decrepit old shit.
It's probably like the height of his jokes, you know what I mean?
I think he's the fastest friend I've ever made.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It sounds like,
he
yeah.
seemed to genuinely enjoy my company. It's like, you smell like a barnyard. I like that. You smell like a man's man. I like that.
Did you like him or his
I thought he was a
background
cool
and everything?
dude. Like,
Yeah.
I had no problems with him. He could take shit and give it.
Nice.
He's like, yeah, it looks pretty lime.
How about the wolfhound? How was the...
The dog was A-okay with me. I'm good with dogs.
Yeah?
Dogs like me.
Okay.
Unless I, burn something.
Yeah, like their owner.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but this time I didn't kill Travis. I liked him too much.
Good thinking.
So I pulled one of the replacement doors while he was setting up the Roku. Apparently he had a bunch of them. Like, I make them in my spare time. I haven't got a whole lot to do out here.
Understandable.
Just going to sit around, fuck around, make some sausage, slaughter a pig or two, sit around, and then watch Netflix for hours and hours and hours.
That's living.
I'm like, you are living your best life.
Kind of jealous of that guy.
I'm like, why can't I have this? Like, because you live in a stupid capitalist society. A society that's been eating away at its people for so long.
Tell you
I was
what.
like, all right, Redcoat, just calm it down.
I'll tell you what, though. Travis is quite possibly the end result of the road upon which you and I have already started traveling, my friend. We could easily be in the woods at one point years down the road.
Yeah,
if we're not
he's
careful.
basically homeless. It's just that he made it himself.
Yes, and he's better at it, I think, than I am, certainly.
Yeah, I asked him for tips, and he's like, no.
He's like, I'm not wasting my breath on you.
He's like, you gotta learn it yourself, like I did. You'll
true.
make something great.
Those are the lessons that
You got robot parts on you. Why can't you make a robot house?
He's right. Oh,
Fucking idiot.
yeah, but then I don't suppose you told him about Sex Robot, though, right?
Of course not.
No, it's you don't want to.
That's on the
personal.
down low.
It's personal.
That's none of his fucking business.
It's true.
So he turns on the Roku, and we notice that the new season of F is for Family is out.
F is for Family.
Yeah,
Is that on Netflix?
that is
Wow.
the official Netflix Bill Burr cartoon show. That's a sitcom, but it has swear words in it because Netflix is like, yeah, fuck.
And we like that.
We like that. We like it when you say fuck.
So what number season is this for F is for Family?
So this is the third season of F is for Family.
All right.
For those who don't know about F is for Family, it is a kind of anti-sitcom black comedy look at the 70s through the eyes of Bill Burr as a child, but it's mainly through the focus of his father, Frank,
Okay.
who, instead of being the stereotypical, like, fat, lazy dad, instead he is angry, vicious dad.
Wow.
Which
Okay.
I was like, okay, that's not really... It's not really put out there, because when you think of sitcom dad, you always think like, oh, fun and
dope.
goofy and stupid.
You think Homer Simpson? You think
Yeah.
Peter, from
Peter
Family?
Griffin.
Yeah.
But with him, you're like, whoa, this dude is angry, and I can see why Bill Burr is the way he is.
a angry New England dad, fucking Boston.
Yeah,
bastard.
this Boston ass dude. And this show has a phenomenal voice cast. I'm surprised at some of the talent that they actually got. So, just as like a quick rundown of the actual family. So it's Frank Murphy and his wife Sue, and then their three kids, Kevin, Maureen, and Bill.
Okay.
So Laura Dern plays Sue.
Wow.
Justin Long plays Kevin. Debbie Derryberry plays Maureen, and she plays a bunch of other kids. If you don't recognize her name,
Yeah.
she's like a huge like animation voiceover
Gotcha.
person. Like her most well-known thing is like Jimmy Neutron.
Okay.
And then Haley Reinhart plays Bill Murphy, and she's like Step It Up like cast member.
Sure.
And then it's also got like Sam Rockwell as their cool
Wow.
like 70s disc jockey neighbor. And then in this season specifically, they got Vince Vaughn to play the new antagonistic character, Chet.
Fun. See, it's like for me on that list, like, a Justin Long and the voice actors you mentioned, like, okay, I could see that, but Sam Rockwell, Laura Dern, and Vince Vaughn.
TJ Miller.
That-
The
that's-
voice cast is pretty high quality.
That is that's unexpected for a Netflix show
for
like
a Netflix
that.
show, but I think it's because it's Bill Burr, so
Yeah.
like they see Bill Burr's name on it, and they're like, oh, it's gonna be funny.
Exactly, yeah.
So just a quick rundown. The series go in a chronological story. They tell one big long story of what is happening that year. Well, really in these spans, like it seems to be a couple weeks apart from each season.
Oh, okay.
I think the first season was pretty meh. Like it was just very meh. It did a really good job of tackling the sexism and the flat out racism of the 70s, but I think season 2 and this current season did a much better job at it. So there's always this underlying tone of making fun of how shitty the 70s were.
Yeah.
to the point where like it's basically gag worthy stuff. It's like cutaway gags from Family Guy or stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the whole plot is that Frank is a Korean War vet, and he's just trying his best to keep his family together, but he's pretty shitty at being a dad. Like, him and his wife Sue are not super great parents. They're the most realistic parents I think I've ever seen in a sitcom like situation. They feel like an actual mom and dad.
Yeah.
Like screaming and yelling at kids. Like, I'm like, I grew up in that environment.
Yeah.
That shit's real.
It's familiar. Yeah.
And I love the three kids and how just like they have their own thing. Maureen, the daughter, is like obsessed with computers, but everyone treats her like you're a little girl, so you have to be a secretary or whatever.
Gotcha.
Bill, so it's supposed to be Bill Burr as a kid. He loves comedy. He's actually a pretty funny kid, but he's a flat-out pussy.
Okay, yeah, sure.
He's constantly called pussy by everyone. He cries very easily. And then Kevin is the eldest son. Justin Long does such a good job playing Kevin. Kevin is a fucking loser.
Yeah.
He has a band where he's trying to go for like a Led Zeppelin storytelling style.
Okay.
Like he's one of those kinds. Like he's obsessed with like dragons and wizards and shit.
Sure.
He's just a fucking failure, stoner, loser. First season was just about how the family's doing all together. Like Frank trying to get a promotion at his job and kids trying to run away from bullies and shit. The second season I thought was very funny. This season, it continues from where the finale was, where Frank and Sue are expecting a new child. And this time around, a new neighbor makes the scene. And this entire season revolves around the relationship between Frank and the new character Chet, played by Vince Vaughn.
Cool.
Chet's character is horrifying, and he is a horrible person. Chet is also another war vet, but he's still a commanding officer.
Oh.
He's an actual pilot. So Frank attaches to him real quick, because Frank for his entire life wanted to be a pilot. He was stuck in infantry, and then he got his wife pregnant, so couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Like a whole underlying theme of the show is Frank and Sue trying to achieve their dreams, and there's actual real character development that I think the show does pretty well of working on their relationship, just how they interact with each other. It's very real. There's a lot of hate fucking in their family. There's an amazing gag, because this is an uncensored show. There's an amazing gag. I think it's in the first season. Bill accidentally catches his parents fucking.
Oh, man.
And he looks up, and you see the dad's balls just slapping.
Oh, Jesus.
And
really scarring.
It becomes a reoccurring gag that Bill constantly runs into things that he just should not. And it always leaves him in a terrified state.
Yeah.
So this season spends a lot of time on Frank and Chet and how much of a monster Chet is. Chet took a survivor from Vietnam back to America and basically forced her into marriage.
Oh, no.
Like, he basically kidnapped her.
Yeah.
And he is vicious and brutal to everyone he comes into contact with. He's super manipulative.
Yeah.
And it's funny because the whole season goes through Frank being very petty about Chet being his friend. Mm-hmm. So he gets into a lot of fights with all of his neighbors about like, hey, Chet's my friend. He's mine. You can't have him.
Right.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much how Frank sounds, but a lot more streaming.
No, that sounded... So is Bill Burr Frank?
Bill Burr plays Frank.
Gotcha. Yeah, that was a good Bill Burr. Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, that was right on there.
I do listen to a lot of Bill Burr. I am a fan of Bill Burr.
So am I. I love him.
I really think he's a very good comedian. Sometimes he can go a little overboard, but at the same time...
Well, yeah.
he's always like, it's jokes.
Yeah,
it's jokes.
Absolutely.
Be ready.
He's done
Be ready, because everyone's a target to me.
I know, and he's done very well for himself comedically, I think. And also, what's nice is that I saw him do one of those hot wings things on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Like the whatever it's called, the
Hot Ones.
yes, thank you, hot ones. I saw him do that.
Sean Evans. I adore that show.
It's a great show. If you haven't seen that on YouTube, it's very funny. Great. Celebrities get interviewed by this guy while they're both eating absurdly hot wings with hot sauce.
It's just hilarious watching actors just melt down.
Yes, and Bill Burr was on it recently to promote F is for Family, and it was hilarious to watch him go through the ever-increasing hotness of these wings. He's a very,
oh my God,
very pale Irish dude.
Yeah.
He's crying in there and he starts swearing. It's very funny. So yeah, that's worth seeing. But I love, and he was the host of that Hot Ones read him
Sean Evans?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sean Evans. He read him some comments from Reddit. People submitted to see if they would get to ask Bill Burr something, and most of them are insults. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, oh hey, Bill Burr's gonna be, he's gonna be like as red as some lobster or something. You know what I mean? Like just ripping on him.
It's gonna be red as a lobster.
Yeah.
Because you have Boston.
Not that clever of stuff from people on Reddit, but it was like insulting. And to see Bill Burr just shrug these things off, it's like, that as much as he gives shit to other people, just like a lot of comedians, he probably gives that shit to himself, like worse than
On
anybody.
a daily basis. I mean, looking at the show, he makes fun of himself a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
You could just
he is a
could tell.
constant butt of jokes throughout the entire season.
Yeah.
But I highly enjoy the show. I think it's incredibly well made. It's very funny. The animation is like pretty cheap looking, but that's kind of like par for the course with a fucking like sitcom-y, like Simpsons styled show.
Yeah, sure.
The jokes are very funny. It goes dark. It gets weird sometimes. Like they have a neighbor named Goom who's very, very creepy. Like he's pretty much a stalker. And like one episode, he's asked to watch over their house and feed their dog while they're away. And he dresses up like Frank and then draws glasses on his face. His wife comes over and he's like, "What's the matter with you?" It's like, "I have to tell you, honey, Frank is holding me hostage. These are my clothes." It's so weird and surreal. One thing I really didn't like about this season, though, there's a character in the airport that Frank works at named Rosie. He's very much the black voice for the show. He's voiced by Kevin Michael Richardson, which I just love because he's just so fun in everything he does. A plot point is that he starts to run for alderman in the, like... They don't really say where they live, but it's pretty much New England. So, like, South Side Boston.
Sure.
And he decides to run for alderman. It's never brought up until the final, like, episode again. Like, like, the very first episode, he quits his job because he's so pissed off at how racist people are to him. And after trying to get him to go back to work and talking with his family, they encourage him to run for alderman. He goes back to work. He bitches about it. He's like, maybe I shouldn't do it. It sounds like a bad idea, whatever. And then he decides to run for alderman, and that's only like the third episode. It's not brought up again until, 10 episodes later. I'm like, there's so much material there that could have been so good, because I think Rosie is always thrown in just to be like the black character sometimes. He was great in the first season because he outright shows how racist Frank was. And now he and Rosie have a genuine friendship. And like Frank is so comfortable being in black areas now, which I thought was really cool for like character development.
Sure, yeah.
Like look at season 1 Frank, where he's terrified to be in like Southside. Season 2, he's so comfortable with it.
That's great. Just physical evidence of a character development.
There's actual character development that I like about the show. That it's not episodic. It's actual, like it's a chronological show.
Bit by bit they change, and it's believable that way.
There are small like bit things that are happening in those episodes, but it overall helps the core of the story. And the core of this story is, I think it's forgiveness or working your way past problems.
Yeah.
Because this season tries really hard for Frank and Kevin to connect. It just doesn't work, though.
Yeah.
I think this season is a little bit weaker than 2. It's much stronger than 1.
Okay.
But I do enjoy the show. I recommend F is for Family.
Yeah.
If you hate sitcoms, I think this is a good show to watch because it's such an anti-sitcom and also, like, so real.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's, like, it's pretty fucked up. Like, Kevin basically gets raped by Vic's wife.
Oh, my God.
Well, it's statutory rape because he's a fucking
he's underage.
minor.
Yeah,
he's 15.
Yeah. Right.
And she's like 30.
Gotcha.
It's stuff like that where it's like it's incredibly dark and weird
Yeah.
and messy, just like the 70s. And it's an interesting take to see the 70s in such a dark place because, I mean, most of the 70s movies are like things that you think of the 70s. It seems to be much more upbeat and fun and.
I know the only thing that, for whatever reason, I was just reminded of Boogie Nights when you were describing family, F is for Family there. But I know what you mean. A lot of the time, 70s, it's like, what do you think of? Like disco and just kind of like energetic.
You ignore the problems that the 70s had, and this show outright is like, this was fucked.
Yeah.
70s sucked.
Yeah, definitely. It sounds interesting. I'll have to take a look into that.
I recommend it. I think it's a good show. There are, as always with Netflix shows, there's a little bloat, but
what is it, 10 per season about? Is that where
it's
they
about
hover?
13 episodes a season.
Okay, so I get you.
But yeah, I did not recognize Vince Vaughn as Chet, so I thought that was a pretty big, like, whoa, really?
That is interesting, because when you said it was him, I immediately picture, you can hear Vince Vaughn from Wedding Crashers, from Swingers, whatever. You just picture that voice. And
but he does a southern draw, and I think it takes away from Vince Vaughn's, like, boring, like, cynical guy voice.
Listen,
where he's much more upbeat. He's like, ooh-wee, Frank.
When Vince Vaughn acts, I actually really enjoy him. Like, in like Psycho, the remake and everything. I mean, when he's really acting, I enjoy that guy a lot. He's very funny in those throwaway movies like Wedding Crashers and the joke movies, but when he actually tries to, like, disguise himself in a character or be someone else, it can be pretty good, and it sounds like that's kind of the direction he went in this. So that's cool. That
I recommend it.
Good.
I love Sam Rockwell's character, Vic. He's great. It's just Sam Rockwell.
I love fucking Sam Rockwell, dude. Like, I just love that guy. I mean, ever since, this is gonna sound stupid, but like fucking Charlie's Angels. You remember that? Like the first Charlie's Angels movie? He's the bad guy.
I don't remember that.
He's the bad guy, and he's easily the best part of that movie, aside from like Bill Murray as possibly.
I just love him from Seven Psychopaths.
Seven Psychopaths. He's fantastic.
Moon, I think Moon made me fall in love with him as an actor, and Seven Psychopaths really opened my eyes, being like, he's funny too.
3 Billboards this past year.
Oh yeah,
3
Billboards. Wow,
fantastic. Just so he just really brings legitimacy and also humor. Like he's great.
He's got a great voice too.
Yeah, he does.
Very very good show. F is for Family.
Cool. All right, well, that's great. So we're recommending, Greg and I each recommending some Netflix content for you there. F is for Family from Greg, Bill Burr's Family, sitcom from the 70s, and Outlaw King from me, the Scottish rebellion against the occupying English force in like the 1400s or whenever. And that brings us now to the time in the show when we are going to read to you a message pulled from
Greg's List
at gmail.com.
Wow.
That's right.
That's right. Greg's List at gmail.com. It's 3 G's, Reg's List at gmail.com. This is the part of the show where you're a part of it.
That's right. And we hear from you.
That's right.
You can submit questions. You can submit feedback, comments, suggestions for any changes or whatever. We just like hearing from you. It's nice to know other people are out there and such. And
it's
today,
good to know that you care.
Yeah, we always love hearing from you, and hearing that. But one of the things that the message we're pulling today is from Buck.
Buck?
Yes, Buck from St. Paul.
Oh, that's in Missouri.
Minnesota. Up there north on the border of Canada.
Oh. No, it's Tetsuo.
Canada. Yeah. Okay, so Buck says, "Hey fellas, If you could properly revive any video game series, what would you choose? He says, I'd pick Crash Bandicoot. Maybe even, I'd love to see a remake of that. Buck, first right off the bat here, Crash Bandicoot.
Buck, you know what? That's a great idea, Buck. That's a phenomenal idea, Buck. You know, we really need a remake of Crash Bandicoot.
Let me tell you something.
It would be insane.
It would be insane. It would be insane
To see the trilogy
come back.
just insane.
I would love it. Buck, we're going to be straight with you here. They have remade
They did it, guy.
Crash
Spyro
Bandicoot.
2.
Yes, the Insane
And
Trilogy.
Medieval.
But you should be
Also, Abe's Odyssey.
yeah. You should be happy to hear this, Buck, though, because you can go out right now and pick up a remade Crash Bandicoot trilogy, the Insane Trilogy. So enjoy
I'm
that.
glad that we could be your deliverers of this
Yeah, we've talked
happy information.
Also, we've talked about it on the show. So way to out yourself for not having listened
Way to go,
all the
dummy.
past episodes. Nicely done. But to your question, Buck, if properly reviving any video game series, that is a really good and interesting question.
I know mine.
What do you got?
Beautiful Joe. Bring Beautiful Joe back.
Beautiful Joe.
Beautiful Joe is a Hideki Kamiya game.
Okay.
It is from Capcom's Clover Studios. So there were only really 2 games that came out for Clover. It was that and Okami. And then all those guys from Clover made Platinum Games. I fucking love Beautiful Joe to death.
Gotcha.
It is such a fun, stupid premise, and it's still so fun to play. It's a side-scroller beat-em-up where you play a movie nerd who gets sucked into his favorite movie of all time
Nice.
to save his girlfriend.
Love it.
But he gets so into the power fantasy, and he's such a nerd, he forgets about saving his girlfriend.
He just gets wrapped
and
up
he
in the
just
game.
starts getting wrapped up in being a superhero.
That's great. That sounds like a lot of fun.
It's so fun. The sequel's okay. His girlfriend becomes playable, and you can switch in between
Okay.
Joe and Sylvia.
Co-op too? Can you play with 2
No,
people?
it's still only one player.
Okay.
And I don't think Sylvia's powers are cool. Like, they both have movie powers, so Joe has the ability to slow down and speed up footage to make it, like, slow down action sequences and
Speed it
stuff
up.
like that.
Yeah.
When you speed up, you make multiple versions of yourself that pop up all over the place
Wow.
to make it seem like, like a Dragon Ball Z, like,
Yeah.
zooming around.
Multiplicity Man or
and then you
whatever,
can
yeah.
also zoom in.
Oh, cool.
So you do way more powerful attacks, and if you slow it down, it's like, oh, here comes this epic punch, and then
Yeah.
you go into speed mode.
Nice.
It's so fun.
Sounds like a very engaging battle thing
I
to
love
do.
it. The sequel is okay, but it still keeps up like now this time instead of being in the one movie, we're jumping through multiple movies. So
Sweet.
they go through a military Jurassic Park.
Oh.
They go through a tomb and fight a mummy. There's like evil scientists. There's like a stealthy chameleon guy.
Great.
It's amazing, and the
Yeah.
voice cast is so good. Fucking D. Bradley Baker plays Joe.
Wow.
And he's like this really shitty, like yeah, it's like a rock on, dude.
Right.
I fucking love Beautiful Joe. If that game series could come back and not be the bullshit it was after Clover Studios was shut down, because there are 2 games that came out after the first 2.
Oh.
They are not good. It's
I
like
see.
Red Hot Rumble and something else. They're
Right.
bad.
So the series did get tainted. Like it
The
did
series
fall
got
off.
tainted super quick, and it's just flat out dead. Like, Joe has appeared in like the Marvel vs. Capcom series. He's playable in those.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean anything because Joe is so obscure now. Like, I can't think of anyone in this era who isn't a huge fighting game nerd, because those are the only people playing Marvel vs. Capcom.
Right.
Or like, who the fuck is Joe?
Yeah.
Who's this weird, big-headed, baby hand dude with a red helmet that keeps going, yeah,
Right.
movies.
What's this referencing? Yeah, exactly.
This surfer bro douchebag idiot that loves Power Ranger movies.
Oh my god.
I fucking love Beautiful Joe.
Okay, so Greg says Beautiful Joe. I was reminded when you were describing that, Greg. It doesn't count as a series because only one game was made. But one of my favorite games of all time that I still continue to hope for a sequel to is Rockstar's Bully. I loved Bully to death. And if you haven't played
Bully is a great time.
If you haven't played Bully, imagine GTA, but you're a kid in a boarding school, and your parents drop you off at the beginning, and all the missions you do and the side things and all the leveling up you do, instead of getting better cars, you get a motorized scooter. And instead of getting a better house, you leave the dorms at the boarding school and you get like a little not a treehouse, but like a tiny little loft in the city, in the college town.
You can fight for your own like places to live in the town. Once the town opens up.
Yeah,
I also like its aesthetics because it's like a 50s boarding school.
Yes,
that game is great. I love the music in it too.
I was just gonna say the music, the soundtrack of that game is fantastic.
It gets fucking weird at the end too. Like you're breaking into like mental asylums.
Yeah,
and shit.
And one of my favorite things about this game is that basically you climax as the hero of the game and your powers in game before the end of it, and those go away before you have to beat the game.
That's my favorite sequence of the story.
That was one of my only exposure to something like that, where you build up this character throughout the game. You're fighting battles, you do side quests, you're grinding, and they give you the superhero status of that game. You're Neo in that game for, a little portion of it in the middle, and then you lose it all.
For a little structure, like you are the anti-bully character, like you hate bullies.
Right.
Because you're like a kid who has got like a fucking fucked up home and thrown from school to school, troubled kid. The whole school is full of just pricks. Mm-hmm. And Jimmy is actually like a decent guy. He's just, kind of, rough around the edges.
Right.
The whole point of the game is to overpower the cliques and make them like part of your like posse.
Yeah.
So when you like win over a fucking like clique, they won't bother you anymore. Like at the beginning of the game, everyone attacks you.
Yes.
Jocks, bullies,
even the nerds.
Even the fucking nerds.
Yeah, everybody dislikes you. The popular girls, the motorheads, like those guys.
But as you go through the game and you beat up their gangs, they become like subordinates of you.
So you become...
So you get not bothered by fucking kids anymore. Like the preppy kids and the motorheads leave you alone.
And some of them they'll actively help you. Like the nerds will give you some new gadgets to play with, like
give you like a fucking potato gun.
Yeah, and like a little chemical thing to throw, a stink bomb to throw into places, and cherry bombs. So you get aided by the different groups as you ascend to making all the cliques become your allies, and then essentially once you've reached that point, once you've transcended all those groups and you become the most popular kid in the school and you're walking on sunshine and all this is great, someone else usurps you and somehow takes that from you, and then
so you have to get the fucking townies in on this?
Yeah.
Like the public school kids, because you're at a private school?
Yes.
It's great.
It's a great game.
You talk to a magic hobo when you give him radio parts. He teaches you to be a better fighter.
That's right, yeah.
It's funny.
It's as I said, I mean, picture, Red Dead.
Would you have it? Would you have Jimmy come back, or would you rather it be a new character?
I would love it if it were a new character, but imagine like Jimmy's son, for instance. I don't imagine he would.
I would love it to be like in a different time period.
If there was a reason that Jimmy would make his son go to boarding school or had to send him somewhere, I would love it to be in a different time period, but the same premise.
Yeah.
A school town, and just there was so much about that game that that really spoke to me. And if anybody who's played Grand Theft Auto, anyone who's played Red Dead Redemption, the first or second games, the style of Rockstar games, how you build up your character and your different home bases that you build up, and the vehicles that you get. It's the same style and that same gameplay, just now the setting is this boarding school, and
you're a teenager.
Yeah.
Also, you can't murder anybody. You're a fucking teenager. You can sure as shit try and attack cops. You will lose.
You'll lose against the cops, but you can beat the hell out of your classmates. You can you can skateboard around, and and then your interactions with, you actually have to participate in some classes in order to level up some skill sets. You have to take tests.
But doing the classes actually gives you good shit.
It does.
Doing English class makes you popular with girls.
It makes your insults better, if I recall. You can
also,
actually
I remember
people.
in that game you can actually have a gay relationship with a character.
I think that's correct. Yes.
There's only one character you can do it with, and he's a bully character. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it was.
And it wasn't like stereotype like how Rockstar usually did their shit. Like,
I know,
early
right,
days.
right.
Because
It's not.
This was like what 2004.
It was definitely early 2000s.
It was a PS2 game. I fucking remember that.
Yeah.
Like PS2 Xbox era. Mm-hmm. And I played the shit out of that.
Same. I loved it to death, and if they announced a sequel to it, or even just, I mean, gosh, like, even not that a remake would be cool, but like if they announced a sequel to that, I would be thrilled, beyond thrilled. So hopefully that answers your question there, Buck from St. Paul. Greg, Beautiful Joe, and I would love to see Bully from Rockstar come back.
Those are the games that we would love to see
Yeah.
come back.
Yeah, but as we said, send your stuff to gregslist@gmail.com anytime, and we'll bring you on.
Hey guys,
What's
I
up,
think
Cedric?
you need to go.
Why?
Do you see that great big fire that your dragon friend is starting?
Oh, god damn it. Draco, what the fuck, man? We said we were gonna leave, and we said not to draw attention to yourself or to us.
Yeah, I know you said that, but I'm still hungry now. I've been flying around, and let's just...
Draco, come on, man. We can't...
All right.
I wanted to barbecue. I'll tell you that honestly. I wanted to barbecue the sheep.
I think you're taking too much of an advantage of this trip right now.
Yeah, dude.
We've been letting you go for 2 weeks.
Buck wild. You had all the time to get all this weirdness out of your system. We're ready to go back, and this is how you're going to go back now? The fucking, the Scotland Yard is going to be coming to look at this. You realize that?
I liked not being wanted in a place.
It felt nice. This was a change
It really
for us.
felt nice.
Sorry, fellas. I just, I saw that building there. This guy's running around. I wanted his sheep, and he just said to me, "You can't have him." And I said, "Well, fuck you. I'm a dragon. I can have what I want." And I blew his farm up into flames. I'm sorry. Yeah, well...
Well, at least it wasn't my farm. That would have sucked.
Where is your farm?
What's about down the road? I was just taking some of the sheep down, and that's my farm, isn't it?
Sorry, I think I got that one too.
You goddamn stupid dragon!
Oh, don't hit me! Don't hit
I'm
me
gonna
with
hit you
your
with me
stick.
shepherd's cane, you stupid piece of shit!
Stop that! Flex. Sorry, boys. Why don't you get on my back here and let's get out? I think I see some flashing lights in the distance.
I also
there.
see helicopters. Let's move.
Let's move it right now.
Let's
Hey,
move.
Stonie, let's get it going.
Right, here we go. I got 7 sheep coming with us. Snacks for the road.
No, stop!
No more sheep! Fuck!
Yes, Stonie. That's what I'm talking about. Tie them to my leg. You get the prime spot. I'll carry you, Stonie. You fellas get on the back. We gotta get out now.
He's right. He's right. All right, Greg.
Fine.
Strap up there. All right, thanks a lot. It was fun talking to you from Scotland. We will talk to you next week from back in the States. Always appreciate you listening, and take it easy. We'll talk later.
All right, here we go. Let's go. Oh, helicopters coming this way. Get out.
I thought I gave a good boy, but it looks like Greg's gone. Oh, a crying shame. You alright there? Oh, this boy's dead. Well, I know, I'm sorry, me wee dog. I never gave you a name, and I like it that way. You don't have an identity, and I don't have identity. Travis McTavish, no identity. You know, this podcast and stuff sounds neat. I think I might take this home. Just fuck around. I ain't got a lot to do. Just fucking eating sausage. I think I've changed my accent like 4 times when I've been doing this character.
Hey, Travis, what are you doing?
I'm starting a podcast there, Mary.
Well, hurry up and pay your balance on your bill first.
I'll get to it later.
Oh, you said that last week.
I'll keep saying it to you, idiot. Dumbass. Fucking idiots. You know, I started as English and now I'm Scottish.
Travis is
Travis, he can't
all
make-
over the map.
Travis is from all the Isles. Travis is where Travis wants to be.
Travis travels.
Whoa. What's this? An interdimensional time portal with a happy Indian guy in there.
Hey,
Oh.
hello. What is your name? Let's play together. What do you say?
I'm Travis. Let's go adventure in there, you magical blanket.
My name is Rajneesh. Why don't you get under my robe? Come with me. We will travel.
I'll combine my kilt and your blanket, and we'll make one big blanket, and I'll keep changing my accent.
That sounds very good.
Get away.
No, come on. Let
I'll
me just
stab
take.
you.
Let me take a bite. I just want to out. Well,
Yeah.
Listen.
I'm a Time Lord now, too.
I'm corporeal, so
Check this out. Look, I'm going to stab your arm, and I'm going to reverse time. And I'm going to stab it, and I'm going to reverse time. And now I'm Australian.
You are truly the master of time and travel.
What you just heard was a fantasy, a fiction cooked up for your amusement and the catharsis of the hosts. Please have mercy on them.